Hello, welcome to week 10. Sorry for the latest video. Masters week last week. Busy last couple days. But anyways, I just wanted to hop on a quick video here and kind of talk through this topic a little bit. It's a very nuanced topic that we could dive into so many different rabbit holes about, but at least want to give you like a solid through line to kind of go through as you're answering your questions. With that, your questions are structured a little bit different this week. I think if they feel like they are. But I have like three specific questions that I would like you to answer. You don't have to provide sources for all of them, just because this is like again such a weird topic to kind of go through and talk about. But please answer them to the best of your ability and like do some research on them. Don't just try to guess and give opinion. I'd like a little bit of fact and stuff here too, if we can. Just get some research into the topic. But basically, this week is esports in the gaming industry. So, I mean, straight up, without gaming, esports does not exist. Um, Esports takes place with inside gaming, and not gaming in the sense of casinos. I've realized that when you talk to old people about stuff like this, it ends up being like, "Oh, gaming? You mean like slot machines?" No, I mean, gaming as in video games. That was just a funny thing I encountered literally the other day when describing what I do to people. Um, but yeah, esports in gaming. With this one, um, obviously they're different. Not all games have esports, and not every yeah, it doesn't go both ways. But like not all games have to have esports. Like gaming is something that is completely separate of esports. It's more of the larger umbrella, and esports is just like a little slice of that pie, to use as many different comparisons as I can. Uh, but yeah, esports happens throughout games, so you'll see games that and this is one of your questions, but maybe that are designed specifically for esports in mind. A gaming company wants to like, hey, I'd love to have competitive play for this game. Let's design it specifically for that. And then you have games that the developers like, oh, this would be a fun co-op game with people on your couches, and then it's an esport. I feel like that's you see that quite a bit. People will start to host tournaments and different things like that. Um, Gosh, I'm rambling. There's a lot that goes into this. Let's talk about your questions to kind of get on path and go through. I'll give some short answers and stuff to those for you guys to expand on. But just know that like this is a really interesting topic that we have covered quite a bit. In talking about how much esports relies on gaming. It's something that you see a lot with the industry. So if a lot of gaming companies have layoffs like they have in the past few years. Specifically thinking like Activision, Riot, things like that. A lot of times their first departments that they're cutting are esports. What once was a very large team at Activision to help throw their esports and different things like that was cut. Because it was just kind of the easiest. Because like, hey, our job is to develop and publish games. Esports is kind of considered marketing when it comes to people like that. Um, so it makes sense that they would be the first to cut. So that's again that shows that it relies a lot on the gaming industry. But let's take a look at these questions that you guys will be answering and see if this helps. Let's just talk through this a little bit. Um, this is a really nuanced subject, as I'm discussing now. But I really want to focus on the interactions between esports and general gaming. Uh, how do they impact one another? Here are a couple questions I'd like you to answer. Try to get at least one good source when talking about these, whether it be the developers or different things like that. First, how have game developers shaped the growth of esports? What are the pros and cons of developer controlled competitive ecosystems? So, specifically, good examples to look at for this would be uh, Riot Games, League, Valorant, stuff like that. You could also look at game developers shaping the growth, as in they're hindering it, canceling tournaments, different things like that. Just it seems like in general not wanting that esports to exist. maybe looking something like Nintendo. Maybe they haven't invested at all, but have blocked different things from happening and stuff like that. So there's some like two sides of an example where you have one company that's investing in basically building games to work well with esports, and then others who are like, why are you trying to do this with my game? Kind of thing. Talk about some of the pros and cons of something like the VCT, like what's good about that, what's bad, because there definitely are some bads when it comes to developer controlled. I feel like a lot of times, we talked about this last year with the lawsuit between a player and Activision, where it's like, hey, this player like was also a streamer scump, um, and he couldn't take other brand deals because he was a player in the Call of Duty League, so he couldn't like play another game on stream, even though it's his stream, to get money because he was a player in their league. So it's definitely a con when it comes to some of those ecosystems and stuff like that. Number two, how has the rise of esports influenced game design? Provide example of games that were created or updated with competitive play in mind. I don't feel like I need to talk about this one too much. Um, Rise of esports definitely has influenced game design when it comes to like how patches could be released. Sometimes they'll line up with tournaments or things like that, or balancing things, right? So sure, like game developers will, like I'm thinking like WoW arenas and stuff. So obviously they're going to just in general balance different classes for how they work, in the arena when you're playing like 3v3s or something like that. But when there's like actual competitive play, that they host big tournaments and stuff for, maybe they're going to take a little bit more look into those patches and balances and stuff, to really make sure that they'll flow well for competition's sake. So that's a place where it could have been influenced. Third, what role do esports play in games' long-term success and community engagement? Can esports revive or sustain a game that's declining in popularity? So I don't want to answer too much about this because I feel like this is a really good question for you guys to get into. But a lot of times you'll see something where uh, people totally forget. You see this a lot in Call of Duty, in terms of like when people pick it back up, and like there's a reason. Like Call of Duty champs used to be in the middle of the year, so like people would get the game at launch. Oh, this is great. This is awesome. Decline, decline, decline. Oh my God, champs! That's so cool to see. They have all these things going on. Boom, popularity growth, decline, 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 and new game, um type of stuff. So that's like kind of in aligned with their esports, injecting champs in the middle of that game's life cycle, to really help it go through and have that player base throughout. So, like, can esports revive or sustain a game that's declining? If a tournament pops off and people see that something's really fun, maybe it could, or maybe is it dead? Uh, I think on the flip side of that, can esports like kill a game? If you have like competitive people who are like, this game sucks, it's not balanced, but it's something that's fun. By a lot of people saying it sucks, don't do it. Like a lot of maybe streamers or something used to be pro players, like this isn't balanced, it's not fun. I just want to grind ranks. And then people are like, oh yeah, that game sucks. Maybe they never played it themselves. Could that kill the game? Type of stuff. So that was a little rambly. My apologies for that. But this is such a like a big topic that it's really hard to kind of section and narrow that out. Hopefully, those three questions can help guide you in your writings and learnings and stuff when you're trying to find a good source for this. I really feel that at this level class, it's up to you guys to do a lot of that research. This is a 400 level class, considered like a capstone. So this is when you should be diving in, doing some of that extra stuff. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Always here. Um, but overall, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Thanks.